the microservice. Microservices are an architectural style to building the system application as a set of smaller business components that are autonomous, self-contained, and loosely coupled. Yes, microservices are loosely coupled. Like earlier legacy systems or monolithic systems, they are all tightly coupled. So tightly coupled in the sense, in an application, all the components are interlinked with each other, and every component is depending upon the another component. If one component is not working, then entire application will not be functioning. So that in the sense, that application acting as a tightly coupled. The same example, reverse way, if you are thinking. So every component are separately divided, and each component acting as an independent component, and it serves the need or the request. Then that is called as a loosely coupled. So this is what they are considering as a microservices, a loosely coupled, and they are making a big application into a smaller services, like a n number of services will be there. Those n number of services are complicated services. They are making it as a small services. So that way they are achieving as a smaller business components, and they are autonomous and self-contained. And the name itself, micro, is a small, and services like a web service. So these microservices, altogether it consisting of a small services it supports. So that is the definition of the microservice. Let us see the purpose of microservices. So applications to achieve a high degree of agility, speed of delivery, and scalability. Apart from these, there are other features also available. So this agility is like this can be supported agile mechanism and speed. So since we are making complicated service into a small services, then definitely application is going to perform very speed and scalability. So if the traffic is increased for particular application, definitely scalability we are going to achieve. And apart from this, this is a independently runnable, and we can make it a number of ways also. And let us see evolution of microservices, like where it started, like how it started means, many organizations such as like Netflix, Amazon, eBay successfully used the divide and conquer technique to functionality partition their monolithic applications into smaller atomic units, each performing a single function. These organizations solved a number of issues they were experienced with their monolithic applications. Following the success of these organizations, many other organizations started adopting this as a common pattern to refactor their monolithic applications. If you see, most of the organizations started adopting microservices. All the organizations started because the the beauty of the microservices, like they're making complicated services into a small services, and even one service is down also, rest of the application will function well. Whereas in monolithic applications or existing services, if one service is down, the entire application will be down. So that is the main difference. That is what most of the organizations started adopting. And not only that feature, and development will be done in quickly, in a short span of time, and they can deploy in any of the servers, and they can run as a single Java standalone application as well. So let us see about other things. And first of all, we need to understand about the monolithic architecture, because before understanding about the microservices. So what is monolithic architecture? So as I said earlier, monolithic architecture, it's like all the components are interlinked with each other, and they are dependent on each component. So if one component is down, entire application will be down. So here you can see that. So these are the this is the customer mode. It can be web interface, it can be mobile interface, it can be internet computer, whatsoever the request, it will reach here and it will process, it will reach to the presentation layer, it will reach to the application logic layer, the request will be reached to business logic and the application reach to DAO. After that it will be going to DB and all. So it will process the request. So all the request, the same cycle will be repeated. In case if any one component is down, entire application will be down. So that is the drawback of the monolithic architecture. Not only that, and this one is like all the components they are bundling each other, and they are making it as a ER file or WAR file, and they are deploying into the server. So that in the sense, so all the things are all the components acting like a single only, and they are bundling each other and they are deploying as a AER or a WAR file. Definitely this will create a problem. If any one service is down, if any one particular component is down, the entire application will be down. Then we can imagine how much loss of the loss it will generate for the company or organization or for an application. So that is the reason to overcome all these drawbacks. They are going to use as microservices. So the best alternate solution is for monolithic is microservices, because that is a loosely coupled. This one is a tightly coupled. Each component is tightly coupled. But whereas in microservice it is a loosely coupled, because in microservices also, even though it is loosely coupled, but it achieves all the things. Microservices also will be having presentation layer, application logic, business logic, DAO, everything will be there. But this one, but microservice act as a single service. Like that, many services will be divided into small services. Let us see about the monolithic microservices. So this architecture is related to microservices. So here, as I said, we are having presentation, application logic, business logic, DAO, and here this is a microservice or API. We can consider as a API. So this is acting as one service, and this one is another service. This is another service. So microservice one, microservice two, microservices three, and we are having one API gateway. And here the mode of communication can be computer or laptop or mobile or whatsoever the mode of the interaction. So first they will reach out to the API gateway, and that API gateway, all these services are registered at API gateway, and as soon as the request comes, API gateway will serve the request and response. So this is how it is acting as a loosely coupled. That is the reason most of the organizations are adopting nowadays microservices. Because if we are having three services here, even one service is down also, rest of the two services will not be impacted. They can work and they can function well. But whereas in monolithic, it is not like that. If one service is down, entire application will be down. If one problem happens, entire application will be down. But whereas in microservices, if one service is down also, the rest of the other services will be active. So that way, application will not be down. And if small problems are occurring, that problems support team can take care and they can deploy, they can sort out the issue and they can deploy and they can serve the request. So within a short span of time, the other service, damaged service also will become up and running fine. So that way we can achieve greater stability of the applications and scalability, speed of the applications. And so let us see about the principles of microservices. So we can say there are two principles, but there are n number of principles also will be there. So principle one, it is acting as a single responsibility for service. Whatever the service you take, and that service is going to act as a single responsibility. It can be having application logic, it can be having business logic, DAO, everything, DB, access and all. But altogether it acting as a single responsibility of the service. And principle 2, it is an autonomous, it will take the whole responsibility of the execution of the systems. Like in autonomous, like in earlier traditional application development, we build a var or EAR file, then deploy into an application server such as JBoss, WebLogic server, WebSphere, and so on. We may deploy multiple applications into Java related, J2EE related servers, application servers. But whereas microservices, if you develop as a single service, you can deploy, you can run as a standalone Java process. That is the reason microservices are self-contained, independently deployable, and autonomous service that takes full responsibility and execution. In the microservices approach, each microservice will be built as a fat jar, embedding all the dependencies and run as a standalone Java process. So the beauty of the microservice is like we can run a microservice like a standalone Java process. That way we can achieve microservices. So it's it's very easy to deploy, and whereas in monolithic we have to depend on var or year creation and then WebSphere, more application service and all, very complexity and all. But here very simplicity, and this is they simplified the process, and whatsoever the service you can run as a standalone Java process. That is the beauty of the microservices. That is the reason most of the organizations are adopting microservices, and this is what most of the organizations they stopped using monolithic applications. They quickly adopted microservices, and they started developing and they are deploying, and it takes development time also very minimal time only, and it won't take much time, and they can follow agile methodologies also, and every month we can develop some services and we can deploy and we can run. So that way we can achieve the functionality and quick results, and scalability also very good, because the scalability why we are achieving is like a complicated services they are digging into a small service, and small service is serving the needs of the application. That way microservices are providing greater strength to the applications. So this is about the microservices, and thank you.